Lee, can you take your Liverpool hat off and put a neutral hat on, please, for this?
No, no.
Come on.
What are you doing?
Well, I disagree with both of you, so I think you're completely wrong.
The second 11 would be any other team in the world if that first 11 didn't exist. They're just absolutely world class, both of them. Hello everyone and welcome to the Online Football Academy's first episode of TOFA Talks. Today I'm Luke and I'm joined by Chris and Lee to discuss our all-time Premier League 11 and runners-up both individually and collectively based on the players we have mentioned. First up is our goalkeeper position. The goalkeeper that I have picked is Petr Cech. The reason why I've picked Petr Cech is because he has won 4 Golden Gloves. 4 Golden Gloves. Lee, who's your goalkeeper?
I have also went for Petr Cech for the exact same reason. 4 Golden Gloves, 4 Premier Leagues, 443 appearances and 202 clean sheets out of that. So just under 50% clean sheet rate, which isn't bad.
Very good.
So Petr Cech.
And Chris, who's the goalkeeper you've chosen?
Well, it's a hat-trick for Petr Cech, so I've got him down as well, so that's an easy start. So it is. Petr Cech is my Premier League best goalkeeper as well, for especially playing with 2 clubs, Chelsea and Arsenal. Unbelievable statistics and achievements.
And a whole career in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I take it there's no vote needed for that. Petr Cech won a whitewash. So Petr Cech, I presume, will be the goalkeeper for both teams. Okay, so we'll go to our right back. So the right back that I've chosen is Gary Neville. Even though I absolutely despise Gary Neville as a footballer, I've chosen Gary.
What are you doing?
And the reason why I've chosen Gary Neville is he made 400 appearances, 148 clean sheets, and I was part of an unbelievable Manchester United team. So Gary Neville, 100% for my right back. Lee?
Well, I'm gobsmacked about that decision, to be honest. I went for Branislav Ivanovic from Chelsea. Good going forward, good going back. So, I mean, you've got the best of both worlds there with him. He scored 22 goals, got 20 assists as well. So, I mean, he's a bit better than Gary Neville. He's only scored 5, I think, in his whole career. So, I mean, I think with Ivanovic, you've got the good going forward, good at crossing, good at driving at defenders, and also pretty good going back. So, yeah, I picked Ivanovic.
Just to say before Chris has go, Gary Neville had 35 assists in his career in the Premier League. So there you go. He was an assist man. Okay, Chris, who's your right back?
400 games.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't even think of Ivanovic, and that's a really good shout by Lee. But my right back is Gary Neville as well. On his statistics, 400 appearances, but look, failed to mention he has 8 Premier League titles. That is incredible going for any player. So yeah, it has to be Gary Neville for me.
Okay, so Lee, would you agree that Gary Neville is the all-time 11th right back?
Well, I understand what you're saying with the amount of titles he's won. Yeah, he's won 8. But if I'm picking a team and I want the right back, I'm not picking Gary Neville. I'm sorry. I just can't put him in. I'm probably biased as well because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I mean, I just can't put him in. I don't know. I just don't know if he had enough quality going forward. I know he just seemed to be very put foot in the ball, pass it to someone else. I don't know. My opinion.
But then again, maybe as a fullback playing in that Man United team, that's all he had to do was tackle his opponent, get the foot in the ball, and play it to someone better than him, and he made a living out of it.
Absolutely.
Maybe yeah, but in my opinion, I wouldn't put him in, to be honest, in my team.
At the end of the day, he's a right back. He's not an attacker, so doesn't need to be great going forward. And like Chris says, just pass it to someone better, because the teams he was playing in, he was probably the most bog standard footballer. So just pass it to someone better and let them play forward. So I think that Gary Neville is our right back, and the runner-up then
2 versus 1.
And it's our Branislav Ivanovic. Yeah, we agree. Okay, so our next position is our left back. The left back I've chosen is Ashley Cole. And the reason why I chose Ashley Cole was he did it at the top level for Arsenal and for Chelsea. Had 466 appearances, 165 clean sheets, and also scored 16 going forward and had 31 assists. So he was a team player, wasn't all about him, and he kept the standard up for both Arsenal and Chelsea. Okay, so Lee, who did you choose for your left back?
I would agree with that. I went for Ashley Cole as well. Again, very good going forward, very good going back. Contributed with goals and assists. That team, the Invincible team, Arsenal, he was unbelievable there, and then just continued that for the rest of his career. I sort of told the idea of putting Baines in, but his stats are really good. Baines' stats are really good in terms of goals and assists, but you have to remember he was a free kick taker and penalty taker. So what would his stats look like without all that? You know, so I think Ashley Cole had that bit more quality, so I picked Ashley Cole ahead of him. That was close.
Yes.
Well, I disagree with both of you. So I think you're completely wrong. I think it has to be Leighton Baines. Now, I am an Everton fan. I understand that this is going to sound really biased, but he has 417 appearances, 32 goals, 53 assists, and 113 clean sheets for Everton.
And Wigan as well. Wigan.
You know, so basically he's in a, not to sound disrespectful to my own team, but the teams that he's played in have been bog standard Everton sides with bang average centre halves like Johnny Heidinga, to name one. And he's still been able to perform year in, year out for that Everton side, especially when he played with Stephen Pienaar. That left-hand side of Everton, them years were unbelievable with them too. I think his performances were unbelievable for those years. But I believe that you should be picking Leighton Baines if he had moved to Manchester United when Moyes had taken over and he got into a better setup, but bigger club, unfortunately, with a better team around him. I think for him to do it year in, year out at like a bang average side at times that did really well for Everton, I think it has to be Leighton Baines.
He never really done it for England though, did he? He never really made it in the England squad.
Maybe that was because at that time he was at Everton. You seem like us being from Northern Ireland, we can look on the outside looking in, but it seemed to me that it was them top four clubs dominated the England sides when Baines was playing. It was the Uniteds, the Chelseas that dominated. The cities with John Stones and Kyle Walker at near the end of Baines' career, where John Stones started to get an England side because he was so good for Everton, shows that at the end of Baines' career, there used to be players that were in the mid-table teams playing for England. And I think at that era, with the top four English clubs dominated England internationally, Baines couldn't really get a sniff at times.
Yeah, I totally get where Baines, but Baines, if he got a step up to United, he wasn't even playing for a few years. But actually, Ashley Cole was at the top right from he started. And
again, ahead of Evra as well. United
yes.
at that time. You think so?
Yeah,
I would agree so too. Don't think Evra was much of a muchness, but again, I'm a Liverpool fan, so that might be a different story. But Lee chose Ashley Cole. I chose Ashley Cole. Chris chose Leighton Baines. So unfortunately, I think for Chris, Ashley Cole is the first choice left back, and Leighton Baines comes runner up as our left back. Okay, so our next position are both together. Our centre backs. So we'll name our centre backs together. So I've picked John Terry and Rio Ferdinand, and the reasons why I picked John Terry was he played basically his whole career, played for West Ham and Chelsea, and also Aston Villa as well. But he made 492 appearances with 214 clean sheets, playing at the back, conceding only 251, which is pretty impressive. And he scored 41 goals at the other end. So he did his job at the back. He played the ball to the other players. He scored when he could, and he kept the ball out of his own net. And again, with Rio Ferdinand, 504 appearances with 189 clean sheets again, playing for West Ham and for Manchester United, and scored 11 goals at the other end of the pitch. So both of them were good defenders. They kept the ball out of the back of the net and also scored at the other end of the pitch, which is an extra bonus as well. So, Lee, who's your centre backs?
So you're going to hate me for one of them. I know you are. But I went for Vincent Kompany and I went for Virgil van Dijk. Okay, so well, I think Vincent Kompany picks himself, to be fair. Coming through at that City team whenever it wasn't really a great team to begin with before the money sort of started coming in. Built himself up into really good centre back. You know, one of the best in the Premier League era. Scored going forward, great at corners. You know, well, can't forget his goal last season, basically to clinch the title for City. Absolute thunderbolt. Played 265 games, clipped 94 clean sheets. So I mean, it's pretty decent percentage there. Captain, leader, you know, great voice on the pitch, making sure everyone's doing their jobs. And I think alongside him, if you had to have put Virgil van Dijk in beside him, I think, you know, that centre back partnership is pretty unstoppable, I think. I know Virgil van Dijk has only done it for a couple of years. Chris, you're giving me a dirty look there, but you can't find another defender at the minute who's got his quality. It's just simple as gets in any team, in my opinion. Just calm as you like, absolute Rolls Royce defender. Again, has a really good clean sheet record at the minute. 148 games, 57 clean sheets. Also very good, same as Kompany, very good in the air. You know, really big aerial threat, especially corners again, crosses, getting in the box. So I mean, I think those two together would be, you know, unsolvable. I think centre backs.
Again, just before Chris goes, can I just say, Lee, I was thinking about Virgil van Dijk as a Liverpool fan, but for me, to be in the best 11, you sort of have to perform over a number of years, and that's the reason why I didn't pick him. I think he's the best defender in the world right now, but to be in the Premier League 11, I think that you have to perform over 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even more years, and that's the reason why I didn't pick Van Dijk. Chris, who's your centre halves?
Well, to start, I'm not going to make any comment on Van Dijk. I'm going to make a comment on Vincent Kompany because he did come across my mind. I thought about Vincent Kompany, but in the end, I went with John Terry, like Luke picked. I think Luke has explained his stats and achievements incredibly well, but I went with Nemanja Vidic as my other centre-back. Now, I know, look, you're screwing up your face, but I think his statistics are 211 appearances, 15 goals, 95 clean sheets, and 5 Premier League titles. I think with him and Ferdinand together were unbelievable for Man United. I just think him coming from Serbia and being, you know, different gravy in that Man United team, he was just that hard nut. He put his face on the line, put the body on the line to make sure that he got those clean sheets and got those wins. And I think he was very underrated player when everyone else is talking about Premier League players. I think he goes under the radar, but his statistics are unbelievable, and I think he should be up there as one of the best Premier League centre backs ever. I think
it's fair, yeah. So we have a definite one centre back, which Chris and I both named, which is John Terry. So I think John Terry would have to go in there if you agree, Lee.
Yep, no, 100%. Again, I would agree with John Terry. I think Kompany was just sort of personal opinion. But John Terry done it for many years. You know, brilliant captain, brilliant leader. Won at all club level. Done really well internationally as well. Whenever, you know, sort of that era where they should have won quite a lot. But yeah, no, I agree with that.
Okay, so then we'll have to go for our second centre back for our first 11. So the other ones we've named is Ferdinand, Vidic, and Kompany, and Van Dijk. So Lee, you've obviously got 2 players that haven't been picked yet. So is there anyone you would put forward first?
Yeah, well, I would probably put Vincent Kompany forward, obviously because he's won a few Premier League titles. You know, he's got the medals. Done it for a longer period of time than Van Dijk has. Again, started from not very much at City and has just built himself up into a great professional, great football player. So I put forward Vincent Kompany for the second team, or the second centre back, should I say.
Okay, so we've got Kompany, we've got Ferdinand, and we've got Vidic. Okay, Chris, do you have anyone that you would pick? Obviously, you've picked Vidic, but does the other 2 challenge you, or make you think?
I think how many Premier League titles did Kompany win?
3, I think.
3?
3.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Like, I think if I would maybe, if I was picking the 3 of them, would probably maybe go Ferdinand.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I would probably go Ferdinand, but no, and this is my thought process. Knowing that Vidic and him played together sort of backs up my pick on Vidic. If Ferdinand goes in, it's sort of off the back of Vidic as well.
Yeah,
that's sort of my sly thinking of it. But again, Vincent Kompany did come across my mind, picking my team, like unbelievable centre half, like definitely. And like Lee says, just coming into that Man City team when it was just starting to get that money, and then being able to show like incredible leadership to really take hold of players who were brought in for big amounts of money and steer them towards success needs to be highlighted, because that's really difficult to be able to do that as a one player, being able to take that leadership in the change room and say this is a focus, and getting big egos to really march towards success is incredible. So he did cross my mind, but I didn't pick him, so I would probably go Ferdinand, because he did it, like you said, look, for so long at such a high level, and especially playing with Vidic helps, I think.
Okay, so your pick is Ferdinand?
Yeah, I'll pick Ferdinand.
Ian, I'd be very, very similar to what Chris says. Kompany was on the back of my mind as well, but and the fact is he led that team from nothing to winning Premier Leagues and challenging for some of the champions as well. So for me, I'm going to stick with Ferdinand, because I think, like Chris said, he's done it for years. So Chris has picked Ferdinand, I picked Ferdinand. Lee, who is your pick? Is it going to be Ferdinand?
I appreciate again what Ferdinand's career was like. He had a great career, no doubt about that. But because I put Kompany in my team, I think I'm going to stick with him. Just being able to maintain a position, even more so in the squad, especially with all the money floating around the city. Being able to actually maintain that starting 11 spot, and also doing it under a number of managers. Ferdinand had Sir Alex basically the whole time he was there. So I think it says a lot about Kompany as well. He's able to become the leader and captain for a number of managers as well. So I'm still sticking with Kompany.
Okay, so Ferdinand is our other centre half for our first 11, and then Kompany, and who is for our second 11?
Yeah, I would definitely agree that Kompany's in the second 11, 100%. So the next choices are Van Dijk or Vidic. And as two Liverpool fans, I don't really want to get outnumbered here. I still think Vidic has to be in that second runner-up best 11, 100%. To do it consistently over the number of years that he has done it. It would be interesting looking back in this to see in a few years' time if Van Dijk has played the same amount of years as Vidic, and seeing the appearances and the statistics between them. I think that would be really interesting.
Okay, Lee?
Yeah, I'm still sticking with Virgil. Again, Vidic is brilliant, but I just think Virgil has a wee bit more quality from watching them both. I haven't really seen a striker absolutely terrorising Van Dijk, especially in a Liverpool shirt. He went the full season without getting dribbled past, which says a lot, really. Whereas you look at Vidic and I look at Torres, there's, whenever Torres played against him, he absolutely terrorised them. Sent off a few times against them, just couldn't handle them at all. So I think Van Dijk has, again, a wee bit more quality on the ball, and he has that passing to, to open up the defence. He's got a few assists there as well. And I think it's more for today's day and age team that I would pick Virgil for, whereas I think Vidic definitely gets in, Premier League team of the past. Whenever it was like rough and tumble, whereas it's a bit more intricate. Centre backs have been taught how to play out from the back, and play football a bit more. So yeah, I'm sticking with Virgil.
Lee, can you take your Liverpool hat off and put a neutral hat on, please, for this?
No.
Come on.
No. I don't know. I just feel like watching Van Dijk. He's just far better than Vidic, in my opinion. I understand what Vidic's done. Yeah, he's won 8 Premier League titles or whatever, but if it's my team, I'm picking Virgil.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Okay.
I mean, I said earlier, I'm going to be biased, 100%. You're biased to Baines.
But Baines is a quality left back that should have been put on our.
Van Dijk's a quality centre back.
He hasn't done it consistently over so many years. Like Luke had said about other players, you have to be consistently doing it year and year and year and year.
Yeah, but then that means this team would just be like from 2010 to now.
But Van Dijk hasn't done it consistently year and year and year and year. Baines has.
But he's shown what he can do.
I would actually. I get where both of these are coming from, and again, as a Liverpool fan,
I swear, take your Liverpool hat off and put a neutral hat on.
Listen to me. As a Liverpool fan, I think, like I said before, Van Dijk is the best centre half in the world right now. He has all the attributes. He could probably play in the midfield as well. He's got the ball at his feet. He's very, very good that way. He's an unbelievable leader. Only down to Virgil is definitely that he hasn't gone over loads and loads of years. Like Vidic, I can't stand Vidic, but I think for this 11, I'm going to have to choose Vidic as the second centre back in the second 11. So we've got Company and we've got Vidic for our second 11. Okay.
Good choice. Such a good choice.
Can't believe you.
Lee, I'll give you the money later. Okay, so our next positions we're going to do is our two central midfielders or our defensive midfielders, whatever you've picked. So they're two midfielders in the centre of the park. Okay, so my two midfielders I've chosen are the two English legends, Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard. I know they couldn't play together for England, but it's the best 11 as in individual players. It's not the best as a team. And if you've seen what they won collectively and how they played as individuals, were unbelievable. Gerrard lifted the Champions League as the captain of Liverpool at the age of 24, I think it was. Lampard played at the top of his game for both Chelsea and Man City and West Ham. Gerrard scored 120 goals. Lampard scored 177 goals. Gerrard got 92 assists and Lampard got 102 assists. Gerrard in the top, I'm not sure how many, of the Ballon d'Or of one of the years. And Lampard is one player of the season. So again, they're both English, both fantastic midfielders. And to be honest, I couldn't leave either of them out. I had a debate thinking about Scholes, but then I thought Gerrard and Lampard are definitely the standard above Scholes again. And Scholes looked good in a good United team. So Gerrard carried Liverpool for a while, and I think Lampard was exactly the same. Both fantastic footballers. Lee?
Yep, I went for Yaya Toure and Steven Gerrard. So the reason I went for Yaya Toure is because he was a brilliant box-to-box midfielder, could do it on either end. He was a bit of gazelle going through that midfield. Especially, I think it was the 14-15 season. Man City were just unstoppable, just pace ahead of everyone. And I think he was the driving force behind that, just sort of dictating that midfield. And whenever he got in the ball, everyone just sort of got out of his way, like a bulldozer going through. Played 230 games, 62 goals, 32 assists. So he was giving it on the goal side, giving it on the assist side. Just really good to watch as well, really entertaining. Sort of similar to Patrick Vieira, who I sort of toyed with putting in as well. But I think Toure sort of gets ahead of Vieira, in my opinion. Again, Gerrard as well, just same reasons as you, Luke. Started off very young age at Liverpool, one club man. 504 appearances, 120 goals, as you said. Basically carried the Liverpool team on a number of occasions. Anytime needed a goal, always dug it out. You can talk about Scholes, talk about Lampard, but in my opinion, I think Gerrard had more of an impact for his club. And again, box-to-box midfielder. So, that's why I put both of those guys in there.
Okay. And Chris, who's your two central midfielders?
So I have to agree with you. Look, I'll go for Lampard for one of them, with Chelsea, Man City. 609 appearances, 177 goals, 102 assists and 3 Premier League titles. For my second one, this could be interesting. I went for Cesc Fabregas. 350 appearances for Arsenal and Chelsea, 50 goals, 111 assists, and 2 Premier League titles. I think when you talk about Premier League centre fielders, no one ever speaks about Fabregas. I think maybe it's that wee gap in between Arsenal and Chelsea where he went to Barcelona and sort of drifted away from Premier League theory. But when I was thinking about it today, I thought, oh my goodness, Cesc Fabregas was amazing. Like, such a young age at Arsenal. And then go to Barcelona, faded away, and then came back to Chelsea under strange circumstances, and was able to win 2 Premier League titles with Chelsea. I think he should go unnoticed. I think he's up there as well.
Yeah. No, I think Cesc sort of done really well at Arsenal, didn't he? And then he went away to Barcelona, to say he sort of forgot about him a wee bit. Then he came back to Chelsea, and I didn't really feel like he was in the Premier League. I don't know about you, but I just feel like he wasn't, where he was supposed to be. Especially because he said he was always going to be a gunner, but I always felt he was like an Arsenal player, Arsenal style player. Whereas whenever he went to Chelsea, I think he lost that bit of sort of fluidity about him.
Then he won 2 Premier League titles at Chelsea.
Sorry. Yeah, he did. Yeah, but he was given a completely different role, wasn't he? In Chelsea, he was sort of more holding midfielder, wasn't he? Whereas at Arsenal, he was a bit like the Jack Wilshere that Arsenal had. You just give him the ball and he just sort of created a lot of opportunities and stuff.
Yeah, a bit off the back of what you said earlier about Fabregas. He was sort of the main man when he was at Arsenal, and before he left, and then he came to Chelsea, and he was fighting for his position. At the very end, he literally couldn't get a place. Which again, that's good. Obviously, team, the competitive side of it. But for me, there's no one beating Gerrard and Lampard. And you can say Fabregas. I think Fabregas was world class at a time, but I don't think they can make up the two of Gerrard and Lampard. We both there's 2 of us named Gerrard. There's 2 of us named Lampard. So I think that them 2 players should be the central midfielders for the first 11.
Yeah, that's the fairest way of doing it. Yeah, I agree.
And then there's no real debate, but the other 2 players for the second 11 would be Yaya Toure and Cesc Fabregas, if you would agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So our next position is the central attacking midfield position. And for me, it was a very difficult choice because you could have played a lot of players, even here in the Premier League now, in that position. And even from, if you look back in time, the player I picked for that position is Kevin De Bruyne. I don't even know what to say about him. I think he is world class. He is absolutely phenomenal. 147 games in the Premier League, 32 goals, 62 assists, and he's been in the team of the season as well. But I think he just pulls the strings in that Man City midfield, and he makes that team tick, both attacking and both as a team together. I think if he was playing for Liverpool, I'd love him a lot more. But because he's a Man City player, I do like him. But he's definitely the best central attacking midfielder that I could think of from the Premier League era. He was at Chelsea, didn't get a lot of time at Chelsea, went away in the different to play football, and came back from Wolfsburg to Man City, and I think it ripped the Premier League apart. And I think the assists of him having 62 assists, so that's probably it's actually over 1 assist every 3 games, and then with his goals as well, he just adds to it. I think he is world class, absolutely phenomenal. Lee, who's your centre attacking midfielder?
Yeah, so again, I had a few different choices there. I told you that I did actually put Lampard in as a centre attacking instead of having him as a holding midfielder, because I thought he impacted the game a lot better going forward and what they're going back. But I've chosen David Silva as my second choice. As my first choice, sorry. Just coming from Valencia in La Liga, completely different league, a lot slower paced. Coming into the Premier League and having an instant impact. There's the first time I actually watched him play, I think it was a game against United, and he played like a half volley pass through the Dzeko, I think it was. Remember that pass so well. It was sort of the first time I actually caught an eye on him, thought a glimpse of him. So he scored 57 goals in 302 appearances, 90 assists as well. So I mean, he's got good numbers there. 4 Premier League titles. He's also sort of carried that team along with company. Especially from those starting off years. I think David Silva came in a few years after company has sort of established himself as a first 11 player. But he's been doing it consistently for about 10 years now. Still doing it. I don't know if he's going to be leaving at the end of the season. But yeah, David Silva gets in there all day for me.
Okay, and they're both playing together in the same Man City team, which is again a world-class Man City team. Chris, who is your centre attacking midfielder?
So I'm agreeing with Luke. I went for Kevin De Bruyne. I think as a football coach, if I was telling any young attacking midfielder to watch anyone, it would be him. Like you could actually class him as a box to box attacking midfielder. Like his work rate is incredible. His vision, his off the ball movement, and his passing ranges are ridiculous. And like you just said there, look, for him and David Silva to play in the same team, both sort of similar with their attacking intent. They want the ball and they want to dictate the play. I think that's really difficult for any manager or coach to try and gel together players who are very similar. But to do that successfully and then gain success off that is incredible. So even though they are similar, and Lee has pointed out David Silva is an incredible attacking midfielder with great statistics, I still think Kevin De Bruyne is up there as probably the best centre attacking midfielder in the Premier League at this moment in time, and could potentially be ever. As you said, he went away from Chelsea to Germany. I think everyone just sort of was like, "Who's that kid? Like, was he even at Chelsea?" Then he came back and he exploded, which I think that takes a lot of resilience to be able to do that and to be pushed away from a club in the Premier League to say, "No, go away. You're not able to do it here." To then go ahead, gain maturity, gain experience, and then come back and show that actually he was capable of doing it is definitely something that a lot of young, talented players should look up to. Definitely. So for me, it's Kevin De Bruyne, definitely.
Okay, so then again we'll have a 2v1 with both Man City midfielders, attacking midfielders chosen. But I think if you agree, De Bruyne would be the first 11 centre attacking midfielder, and then David Silva would be the second. Again, not much of a much, both world class. Do you have anything to say about it, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, you could put either in the first team for me. To be honest, De Bruyne again, just absolute quality. Especially, he came into Chelsea. He's being played out of position. By Mourinho, he's being played out in the wing. It wasn't his position. So it'd be interesting to see if he was actually played, centrally at Chelsea. Would he have stayed at Chelsea? Would he have gotten the first team a lot more? But yeah, as I said, either or could have got in the first team, no problem.
Okay, there we go. We've got the centre attacking midfielder, and now it's more. I think it's more difficult now as well. So our next up is our right midfield. I struggled big style with this one. I thought a lot about David Beckham. I think David Beckham was unbelievable when he was at Manchester United, and then he went obviously to Real Madrid. But for me, what I remember of David Beckham probably wasn't his prime at Manchester United. So then I was just thinking loads of different people. Like I was thinking Joe Cole. Joe Cole was quality at Chelsea. Came to Liverpool, didn't do an awful lot because he was injured. And there was loads more. So actually to fit this team in, I actually had to put Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United in on the right hand side. Because I think there's a better player on the left hand side. So Ronaldo, he was there for not a long time at Manchester United, 6 years I think it was. He had 196 games, 84 goals, which is not bad for a youngster playing in the Premier League, coming from all the way from Portugal, and that not being his home club. 34 assists, and while he was there, he actually won 1 Golden Boot and 2 Player of the Season. Like, I think it's phenomenal for such a young player, and to leave Manchester United at such a young age to go on to bigger and better things. And obviously, we're talking about Premier League. You look at his whole career, 604 appearances with 489 goals, and he was started off as a winger. It's pretty insane. And then he also had 140. He has 146 assists in his whole career, and he's won obviously the Ballon d'Or, and he's won the Euros, and plenty of other things. So I think, like, I'm thinking about the Manchester United Ronaldo. I think he's world class. He should be in this team. But again, if you look at his whole career, he's phenomenal. So Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely my right winger. Lee.
Yep, again, there's a lot of choices there. Thought about David Beckham, thought about Giggs, maybe going in the right as well, cutting in. But I've also went for Ronaldo. I know he's United. He wasn't the player, obviously, as at Real Madrid or even at Juventus. But at such a young age to have that quality, especially coming in at a time around 2003, I think. Whenever foreign players are sort of frowned upon a wee bit within the Premier League, to be able to come in and adapt to the language, adapt to the play style. He's talked about how players like Ferdinand, Scholes, didn't really like him at the start because he tried too many, fancy passes, tried to be too extravagant. Actually come through that on the other side and just show what a quality player was, especially in his later years at United. He just completely overtook the sort of free kick industry by himself, having that iconic sort of stance that he has now. And again, he sort of had like a bit of an impact like Michael Jordan had in basketball, football. Everyone wanted to be him. Whenever I was sort of playing football as well, everyone had the boots. Always had that one guy on the right wing who was trying to be him. So, I mean, the goals he scored, remember on the Champions League he scored, it was an absolute thunderbolt free kick from about 45 yards he hit it. Don't know if you remember it. I think it was against Arsenal.
Yeah, it was.
But just done things out of the extraordinary, out of the ordinary. So yeah, definitely Ronaldo's getting in that team all day long. So yes, I agree with that.
Okay, Chris?
It's a hat-trick for Ronaldo, so it is. And it has to be. I think Lee touched on it there, for him to be a young foreign player to come in and change the dynamics of how a winger plays is something that is incredible. For him to do all the wee tricks and flicks and bring that entertainment back, the football at a time where, at United, it was very structured under Fergie. It was very, we go on, you tackle hard and we play fast and we put the ball in the back of the net. He added that way, a wee bit of flair. And as Lee says, younger players look up that. They look up to, look at the trick he did. And the iconic step overs. And then, the knuckleballs, free kicks, I think unbelievable. And what he's done after United is incredible as well. So yeah, for me, Cristiano Ronaldo, right midfield.
Absolutely. And to think that obviously there was a comparison between him and Messi, but Messi had a natural talent, but Ronaldo just shows you how much hard work can actually, or how far to get you. I mean, to come out and for him to be, is it the first sports billionaire or first football
billionaire?
Yeah,
it is
last week there, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think it's an easy choice for anyone.
Yeah.
And I could insert him on the left hand side, but then Ronaldo's very versatile and can play on both sides. So it's a hat trick for Ronaldo to play on the right. And
just touching that again, sorry, I think for smaller kids coming through, he had a lot of problems at home. So Ronaldo when he's grown up, especially with his dad. So I think younger kids who maybe have issues like that at home, maybe, can sort of look at that and think, well, it is possible. I can do what I want to do in life. So I think he's a really good role model for kids as well. He's always great with them. He always stop and sign autographs where it needs to be and everything like that. So definitely got to look up to.
Definitely.
So in the first 11 and our second 11, Ronaldo makes an appearance because we had no other choices. All right. The next position is the left mid, left wing position. Again, there was plenty of choices. Lee mentioned them for the right midfield, but I was thinking of Giggs. But actually, it was a very tough choice. But I picked Thierry Henry. I think Thierry Henry was a good striker, but I think he was good off the left into the right. And again, when he went to Barcelona, he was playing off the left. 258 games. These stats are insane. 175 goals. So that is 3 and 4, maybe something similar to that, or maybe 2 and 3, something along those lines, which is an insane stat. 74 assists. So if you add that up, he's basically getting an assist or a goal every single Premier League game, which is incredible. And again, he won the Premier League. He got Player of the Season twice, and he won the Golden Boot 4 times. So I think Henry playing for an Arsenal team, yes, he came through when the Arsenal team was good, but actually for a long time he did along with Fabregas, he carried that Arsenal team for a while, and was the goal scorer, goal scorer. And again, his assists and goals ratio is phenomenal. So I think second to none, Thierry Henry on the left hand side. Lee?
Yep, I'm going to have to agree with you. I went for Thierry Henry as well. I actually didn't take too much time on deciding who was going to go on left wing, because we're doing a 4-2-3-1 formation. I knew I had to keep a striker free because I want to put another striker in there. So I did put Thierry Henry on the left wing, mainly because he started off as a winger as well. coming into Arsenal. You always see his goals. He sort of starts off with a run from deep and ends up beating about 4 or 5 defenders and slotting it away. Again, his assists are unbelievable. Again, coming as a foreign player to the English League at that time probably wasn't as easy as he made it out to be. But just a quality player, just sort of had that demeanour that he didn't try too much, but was able to do these brilliant things. A bit like a Berbatov sometimes. Scored fantastic goals. Some just out of this world. So yeah, definitely 100% Thierry Henry left wing.
Okay, and Chris?
So I went for Eden Hazard. I think his style of play and being the main man at Chelsea for so long is incredible. If you look at his statistics, where he has 245 appearances, 85 goals, 54 assists, and 2 Premier League titles, I think Eden Hazard, like you said, Lee, with Henry a little bit, where he's not even in the game, then all of a sudden, bang, he's in it. He's dribbled past 1, 2, 3. Had you not gone down there for a penalty, cross, goal, and you're like, wow. That goal he scored against Spurs for Leicester City to win the league at Stamford Bridge with the play into Diego Costa and then the wee set, and for him to curl that ball so perfectly off balance into the top corner, I will always remember that. That is see the technique to do that is just incredible. I think Eden Hazard is a little similar to Ronaldo but different, where there's no real tricks or flicks. It's just pure balance and speed. And he's just quick movements down the line, beats 1, 2, and then he's in. I think unbelievable. So personally, it would be Eden Hazard for my left midfielder.
That's actually really interesting. Eden Hazard never even entered my head. I see comparing him with Thierry Henry, I just think Hazard couldn't even lace Henry's boots, to be honest. You're giving them stats. They're very, very good stats. I couldn't do any better than them. But I mean, Henry, to have a goal or assist every single game, that's incredible. Even the likes of Ronaldo and Messi, that's that top level. That's world class, out of this world.
Yeah.
And for me, yes, Hazard is a world class player. Hasn't done it yet at Real Madrid, but at Chelsea was a world class player. But to me, he can't even compare to Thierry Henry, especially at Arsenal. He was wow, just wow.
See, personally, I would say Henry is a striker. I think he moved out left when he went to Barcelona, and he accommodated his style of play to Messi. So that's why, personally, if I'm talking about Thierry Henry in the Premier League, I'm thinking Thierry Henry, striker, bang, late man leading Arsenal up there. Definitely, for me personally, he would be striker.
Well, then you had, at that time when he was at Arsenal, Bergkamp as well.
Yeah.
And I think Henry could play anywhere across that front three without any bother. And when he went to Barcelona, he wasn't the top man there anymore because there was Messi.
No.
There was Edo. He knew there. You know what I mean? He wasn't the star man, and he completely changed. But he's still a world class footballer. But for me, him cutting off the left hand side, wow, out of this world.
I'd very much agree that I prefer to have Henry as a striker, definitely. But I mean, I just couldn't overlook him as well. Just putting him on the left hand side, he had to be on that team. I think what you're saying about Hazard, I think I agree that he was absolutely world class player in the Premier League. But for me, I think he went missing for 4 or 5 games at a time, and then bang, he came up with a hat trick. Sure, game after that, and then scored another 2 game after that, and then went quiet a wee bit again, for a few games. Whereas I don't think he was consistent enough. Whereas I think Henry was, he was at it every game. So I think I had thought about Hazard for the right wing position, a wee bit, but I think I had to put Henry in there, definitely.
Okay. We came to the agreement that Henry goes in left wing, and then Hazard is in second 11. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So then our final position of our top 11 players, top 11 team of the Premier League era. For me, it's a striker. For me, this is probably the most difficult position to choose. I thought a lot about Suarez, Torres. I thought a lot about Shearer, Drogba. I was toying with Drogba for ages.
Can I just point out that Yakubu his statistics are nearly similar to Didier Drogba. So again, can I just point out that him being at Everton may have moved the limelight away from him, and that's what frustrates me about Premier League and Premier League journalism and Premier League media, is that anyone below the top 4 is sort of forgotten about. So as much as Didier Drogba was amazing, so was Yakubu.
Now, Chris, stop talking nonsense in my ear.
Yakubu, feed the yak.
So I had a toy in between Torres, Suarez, Shearer, Drogba, Aguero even as well. But actually thinking about it and talking about it the other day, even though I can't stand this fella again, he played for Man United and played for Everton, and in his peak position was definitely a number 9. Wayne Rooney has to be it. Again, look at his figure. 585 appearances, coming on the scene very, very young. 585 appearances, 246 goals, which is just under a goal every 2 games, which is pretty good as well. With 124 assists, so if you add that on again, every 2 to 3 games, he's getting an assist or a goal. Playing in the top league in the world is quite insane. Again, on some of that time, he's very young, and some of that time he was playing for a mid-table team like Everton. And again, he was getting awards left, right and centre as well. So it's hard to look past Wayne Rooney, even though there is that world-class quality, which I've already mentioned. But Rooney did it for so long at the top level. And again, he carried Man United for a while as well, as the captain and as a leader. So I've picked Wayne Rooney for my striker. Lee?
Yep, so you mentioned a few names there, Aguero, Shearer, Suarez, Torres, Drogba, all names that potentially could have got in. But I've also went with Wayne Rooney, just because an absolute powerhouse up front, scoring goals near enough every game. Coming in the Premier League at 16 years of age, and scoring that absolute worldly in his first game for Everton. You never hear that now. You never hear 16-year-olds taking the Premier League by storm. It just doesn't happen. You're lucky if you even get in the starting 11 when you're 18 now. So, to come on the scene that young, I say for Everton, when they weren't such a great team, still aren't.
I agree.
And then getting the big move to United, just didn't stop from there, just, kept going on. Second most capped player for England. It was just unbelievable achievements. And as you say there, he's started out obviously a striker, best position there, but later in his career went back to midfield. But, done as good a job as anyone really in midfield too, whenever he went back there. Remember some of the assists he had for Van Persie in his first season in United. He's just able to do it all. Had that passing range, was able to score left foot, right foot, head, whatever. Just all round brilliant striker.
Yeah, I would agree. Chris, do you have a different opinion?
So obviously, speaking about Henry, I would have chosen Henry to be my striker. To be fair, I think when you look at appearances in the Premier League, how many did you say Rooney had?
500.
500. Henry had 258, so he had half. How many goals did Rooney score?
246.
246. Henry's got 175. So if you cut Rooney in half, I know it's quite cynical doing that, and could be stupid to do that. They're quite close. I do agree that Rooney obviously is unbelievable, and for him to be sold at such a young age from Everton when we were not financially stable was a massive gamble from Sir Alex. But then he goes and scores a hat-trick in his first game in the Champions League. Who's that against? I can't remember who it was against. He scored a hat-trick in his first game. Unbelievable. And then he comes back to Everton, which I thought would never happen, to be fair. And I felt really sorry for Rooney coming back to Everton side, because he was completely changed Rooney from when he just started, where he was a striker. Now he was like sort of centre midfielder, and we didn't get to see the Rooney, the prime Rooney that I would want to see in a blue shirt. So it's a bit gutted, but he did turn it on for Everton. With that halfway line goal against West Ham that day, like he just had that extra bit of quality that not a lot of English players had in the final third. But me personally, for my striker, it would have been Henry. But obviously he's already in our starting 11. But I would happily have Rooney in there as well, definitely.
Okay, so yeah. I think that Rooney again is the striker in our first 11, but again, Henry will be the striker in the second 11.
Just going through our best 11 that we have chosen collectively. We have Petr Cech in nets. We have Gary Neville at right back, Ashley Cole in left back. Centre halves are John Terry and Rio Ferdinand. Both midfielders are Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard. We have Kevin De Bruyne in centre attacking midfield. We have a right midfielder of Cristiano Ronaldo, left midfielder of Thierry Henry, and up front we have Wayne Rooney. Now, that is our collective best 11. We have a runner-up 11. We don't actually have a goalkeeper since we all agreed on Petr Cech. Is there anyone that you think of?
Give a few suggestions.
I think again, as much as I don't really like him, I think David De Gea has to get a shout there. Again, coming in and making so many blunders when he first came in, very, very young at Manchester United, to being the best keeper in the world for a good couple of seasons.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Yeah. David De Gea definitely, maybe not so much recently, but in the sort of tail end years of Fergie, and then coming into the David Moyes era, he saved absolutely everything thrown at him. A lot of Spanish goalkeepers like to use their feet quite a lot, saving goals. He done that really well. There was a stage there where he was just dubbed the best goalkeeper in the world, and he was. But also I think Van der Sar as well should also get a mention, because he was really good in his day. For United. I don't know how many leagues he won, but I'm sure it was over five at least anyway. Again, he was brilliant. So yeah, I actually had Petr Cech, De Gea, and Van der Sar down as the 3, and then a pick from there. So yeah, definitely those 2 should get a shout as well.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I had Van der Sar written down as well. At least that's a great shout. But I also think Jens Lehmann for Arsenal needs a good mention. I think for him, he was unbelievable because he played so long in that Arsenal team. I remember growing up, he was a very, very good goalkeeper. He saved nearly everything at times. So I had written down for extras Van der Sar and Jens Lehmann. But I do agree, David De Gea in more modern times sort of brought out that new modern goalkeeper where he's able to play with his feet, save with his feet, communication and distribution. Very, very good.
It's very difficult. Yeah. There's so many that you don't think of, all different sort of playing styles. You know what I mean? Like you said, the modern football and the older football. Like it's a very difficult choice. But again, I've totally forgot. Good shout, Liam Van der Sar. Van der Sar, wow. I mean, playing for, was it Fulham, wasn't it?
Yeah, Fulham previously.
Yeah. And his actual prime was in his 30s. And he was all that, and he would have saved lots and lots of different things. And again, De Gea would have stopped every single shot that Liverpool could fire at him, and United would win 1-0. Really frustrated me. So that's why I think De Gea is definitely the second, up there with the second best.
Yeah. So you think we should put De Gea in then as the second?
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. Just because, as you say, Chris, he's modern goalkeeper, can use his feet as well. His distribution is very good. I know Van der Sar was good at that, but obviously keepers weren't really sort of focusing on that, growing up too much. Whereas now, they're, goalkeepers can basically play in midfield. So yeah, I think De Gea was just as good as Van der Sar, shot stopping wise, and also, like penalties and stuff. He's very good record of penalties saving. So yeah, just because he has the extra bit of quality distributing, I think he would sort of edge it in front of Van der Sar.
Okay, so De Gea goes in there. We are also missing a right midfielder since we all agreed upon Cristiano Ronaldo. Thoughts?
I think Ryan Giggs should probably get a shout. You know, 632 appearances. You know, it's 109 goals. You know, he's been there forever, really. 162 assists as well. You know, he's a brilliant player coming down that wing, especially when he was younger. You see a lot of his goals are just taking the ball and just beating everyone, taking it into the net. You know, so I think definitely he should get a shout just because of his longevity as well. You know, how long he's been in the Premier League and to be doing it at such a not old age, but old age for a footballer. Don't know what age he retired. It was 36, 37, I think he retired.
It's old.
Something like that. So, I mean, like, he kept himself in good nick all the time as well. So,
yeah,
but I think he should maybe get a shout.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah. What about Gareth Bale? I know I wasn't there for mega long, but what sort of an impact did he make at Tottenham, playing on that, well, the left-hand side predominantly, but anywhere in the attacking place?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Lots of
Unbelievable. No,
Great player, like.
See that day that against Inter Milan in the Champions League, like home and away. Yeah. Like I know it was Premier League, but you know, as a Premier League player playing in Champions League, like he tortured Inter Milan on home leg and away leg, and it was unbelievable. And for him, I think that athleticism that he showed, you know, British athleticism that I've never seen before. You know, especially like with that pace and the end product as well, phenomenal.
And going from 16, 17 at Southampton, getting the move to Spurs, not getting a look in at left back, then playing left back, then moving just forward, and then now, like, well, not in the recent times, but he's considered one of the best forward sort of players in the world. Again, wasn't for the longest time, probably, but again, like, I think he deserves some recognition in the Premier League anyway.
Yeah, again, as I said there, look, you know, moving from left back to a different position, left mid, right wing, whatever. I can't think of anyone who's made that step from a different position. You know, especially starting off their career and doing it for a number of years at left back. I can't think of anyone who's changed position and it's worked out so well for them. You know, as you say, Chris, you know, going from that Inter Milan game, that's when it really kicked off for him. You know, he started becoming just, you know, unplayable at times. Just the goal he scored, you know, from outside the box, especially, just unbelievable. And it's a bit disappointing actually that he hasn't got, you know, a lot of. He has, well, in terms of success with trophies, he has got a lot of success, but you know, just in, you know, individual success, he hasn't really had a lot of at Real Madrid. And I can't understand why the Real Madrid fans have sort of turned on him, because I think if he had stayed in the Premier League, he would have been appreciated a hell of a lot more.
Oh,
if he had stayed in Spurs, definitely. I think it's because I don't know if because he couldn't really sort of mingle as much with the fans over there. Just because they didn't really get him. I think that was maybe an issue. But, I mean, if he's in the Premier League today, he's getting started every game, without a doubt.
Absolutely. So
who going for? Giggs or Bale?
Again, I think Giggs, again, was quality. But, like, Giggs always seemed to play in a team that was good. Whereas Bale carried that team, that Spurs team, and that Champions League. Bale actually carried that team for a couple of seasons, like on his own, with no one else.
Yeah.
1 goals, getting assists, playing off the left, which was incredible. So for me, it's definitely Bale, but again, it's up for debate.
Yeah, no, definitely as well. Like, who do you think had the more impact on Wales, Giggs or Bale? I would say Bale.
Bale, definitely. Yeah,
I think it was
Euros.
Yeah, so especially the Euros 2016. You know, done really well. A lot of qualifying champions too for World Cups and things done really well. So if you're giving me prime Giggs and prime Bale, I would have to agree. Look, I'm taking prime Bale.
I would agree. I would say they're maybe 2 totally different players. You know, Giggs wants the ball at his feet and dribble a lot, but Bale is just like explosive power and explosive speed. Something that we as British people don't really see from a lot of players. You know, I don't think I've ever seen a British player be so explosive with the acceleration, the speed, and in the end product as well. Like for him, like Luke says, to play with Pavlyuchenko and Peter Crouch, and like he's delivering to them boys. Like it can be like, oh, you just don't know what's going to happen, but he delivered. And like you said, Lee, the impact he's had on Welsh football, incredible. So I agree. I think it has to be Gareth Bale.
Yeah.
So on our runner-up 11 is goalkeeper David De Gea, right back Ivanovic, left back Leighton Baines, centre backs are Vincent Kompany and Nemanja Vidic. Then we have Fabregas and Yaya Touré in centre midfield. We have David Silva as centre attack midfield. We have Bale on the right, Hazard on the left, and Thierry Henry up front. So they're two very, very good Premier League sides. It's like, definitely.
Yeah. Who would win between them?
Oh, good question.
For me, it would definitely be the first 11 because that first 11 is the exact 11 that I picked. But
yeah, joke, mate.
But the second 11 would be any other team in the world if that first 11 didn't exist. They're just absolutely world class, both of them.
Oh, world class players, definitely.
Two unbelievable teams. For me, again, like I said, the first team and the first 11 is definitely the best. But again, they're both world class sides. You can have your say on Instagram. If you hop over to the Online Football Academy on Instagram and get onto their stories, and you'll be able to have a vote for yourself. Which is the best team? Which team would you choose? And is there any changes? If you enjoyed the TOFA Talks episode 1, follow us, like us, comment, and subscribe to this video. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and also like us on Facebook to keep tuned. See you all next week.